Hello and welcome to the First Issue Club podcast. We're your weekly comic book reading club that guides you through the muddy and murky waters of the comic book industry through the lens of brand new stories. This exciting adventure into this accessible medium of the first issue. Correct?
You are correct. I just fact-checked everyone. I just typed on my computer, factcheck.com.
Your abacus looks fully configured.
As you spoke into the mic, it checked every database and detected no lies.
Great. To continue not lying, we've got 4 people in the room today. Excited to talk about a couple books. We got W.E.B of Spider-Man and the 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. Who's in the club today? Of course, I'm Mike D. You know this. I'm your consistent mantle throughout the first. Many would say the main guy of First Issue Club.
You're the head.
Yeah, exactly right.
If we were some kind of hybrid beast that prowled the landscape of the comic book world, you would be our head. You would make the decisions.
Yep.
And goddamn it, we love you for it.
Thank you so much.
I am Greg Licktie, the ass of the beast.
Mr. New Booty.
Mr. New Booty. I am the roundest. I am the cheekiest. And a lot of shit comes out of me.
Oh, my God.
But
I'm Caitlin.
What body part are you?
The snot of a beast. I'm there sometimes, when you're, sick. And I'm not there sometimes as well.
And you could, yeah, okay.
the fluids.
The fluids.
You're the fluids.
Yeah.
I like that I went with snot. I don't know what that says about me.
You're the most vital part of any creature, the fluids inside of it. You're the inner workings.
I guess I'm still there, but I'm behind the scenes sometimes.
And now we have a new body part to introduce.
A special guest body part.
A special body part that only shows up once in a while. Our good friend from Boulevard Brewing Company,
The Tail.
Adam Hall. Adam, welcome
Hello.
to the show.
I am very happy to be here.
We were so excited to have you on the show. You've been a friend of ours for a very long time. You love comic books.
True.
You love beer.
I do.
And you tolerate us,
A lot, actually. Yeah.
which makes you perfect.
Yeah, I'm like a parasite that the beast picked up in the woods.
Oh,
I'm
hell
just kinda,
yeah.
hanging on for a while, and now I've finally got my teeth in.
You're like those birds that sit on crocodiles.
Yeah.
It's like a symbiotic relationship.
Correct. Yeah.
We protect you from the harsh outside world,
Yes.
and you keep us clean.
Yeah, I keep bugs off of you. It's a rough job.
Well,
Someone's gotta do it.
thank you for coming on the show.
I can tell you're getting emotional.
Yeah, I do admit it. Whenever Adam's in my presence, I just kind of get a little overwhelmed. Talk amongst yourselves. Adam, you're here for a couple of reasons. One, talk comic books.
Yeah.
Of course. 2, to talk Boulevard beer.
If I have to, yeah.
We would love to talk
Yeah.
Boulevard beer. We have 2 delicious beers right in front of us, Space Camper, Delta Ray, and Tiki Slam.
Yep, we do. So, I go back, every time we talk about Space Camper, I go back to when we all first met. And that was when Space Camper actually launched. A friend of a friend turned me onto your podcast, and I think I just blindly reached out and was like, hey, we're launching this beer at the brewery. Do you want to come to the party? And it was you guys like, party? And
Yeah, buddy.
We busted in the room like the Three Stooges.
yeah. Drank all of our beer, left a mess.
Cream pies everywhere.
So I feel like the relationship is kind of like was born around Space Camper and has grown ever since. So it makes me really happy to have Boulevard part of the podcast, and then for me to finally be in this room that I've heard so much about. And now I finally get to see it. And there's fewer bodies than I thought were going to be here. So.
When people listen, they think there's like 12 people in the room because we always talk so much, and they're just like, "How many people are in the damn room?" And now it's only 4. It's only 4 people.
We've hidden most of the bodies in the closet.
Well, I got nervous when
You
it was
clean.
like, hey,
You
pull
clean
the
when you have
curtain
company.
shut.
Pull the cord. Yeah, we do have a special sound curtain, and we told
You're in the splash zone. Just be warned.
pull the curtains and I
I've been
get
to a
naked.
Gallagher show. I'm okay. Yeah. I brought some plastic.
So is that everything you thought it would be?
And more.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Confirmed. We rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
I put you in the rule side. Everybody else is in the drool side.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the beer too much. Let's just drink them. But I will say, so we got Mike's drinking Delta Ray, which is a variant of our Space Camper Cosmic IPA. Session ABV, really juicy, really fruity, hazy but low ABV, so you can have a few of them and still, operate heavy machine. Don't do that. Right. You know what I mean? Like not act a fool. And then the other beer, and she's great too because the Space Camper world. We were talking to Planet about what we're going to do, how we're going to activate this year because we're getting our same booth there.
Yeah, Planet is a local Comic-Con in Kansas City.
Yeah, and they Planet invited us years ago, and was actually where Space Camper was born. We were sampling Jam Band. And we ran out of beer on that first day, just giving away 2-ounce samples to the crowd. So we had to drive to the brewery and pick up more Space Camper, and then more Jam Band and bring it back. And then after the weekend, it was like, man, we really need to have a beer that speaks to this crowd and the crowd can identify with, and we can kind of talk to them and find out what they like. And so as it turns out, one of our designers had this like Silver Age kind of comic cover that he was working on, and the brewers had this really fantastic beer made with this new hop variety. And so the two just kind of got together, and then Space Camper was born. And for a year and a half, 2 years, it was just the Space Camper Cosmic IPA. And then we had this idea of like expanding the universe out and creating variants, but then attaching like this really rad super heroine to it, and kind of like identifying with the components of the beer somehow. So Delta Ray, you can see she's just this really sick, like green-skinned alien that she has a whole backstory, which we'll release later. We'll tease later. Yeah. Maybe at the con it'll be good, but we're gonna have these giant like cardboard cutouts of the whole Space Camper crew in our booth now, so that you can kind of come take a picture with.
Hell yeah.
With not me, but with.
If you pay extra, you can take a picture of them, I guess.
Yeah. And I'll do anything.
You need the Fast Pass band to get in line. So we're really excited, and we're excited to show the people that were there when Space Camper started, and now we can expand this universe and actually provided some really cool shit to them. And,
yeah.
Oh, can I talk? Can I cuss on this podcast? I can never remember.
Yes.
Because I cuss when I'm listening to you. But,
a lot of people do. Yeah. I thought I unsubscribed from this. God damn it!
And then the other beer I brought was just a fun beer for the summer. It's Tiki Slam. We call it a Tart Island Ale, which is not really a style. I mean, there's not really. You can't like Google Tart Island Ale. This pop-ups.
You can, but it'll flag some adult websites.
But so Tiki Slam is just a tart, like juicy, like tart. When we say tart, tart like lemonade is tart. Things can still be sour, but still super refreshing.
Yeah,
that kind of tart with like real juice into it. So it's got pineapple and orange and guava. It was originally supposed to recreate this drink in Hawaii called Pog, which is passion fruit, orange and guava.
Oh,
and which is where I didn't know this, but this is where the actual term Pog came from. It was a game that they would play with lids to this drink.
Oh,
Pog,
really?
And that's how Pogs came from. Yeah, I had no idea. Originally we were going to call this a Pog Sour. But then as we developed the beer, we realized that the Pog in Hawaii is passion fruit and not pineapple.
Oh,
and so
no.
It's like, well, it's not and people were real quick to tell us it's not a traditional Pog. I'm like, oh, okay.
This is great and all, but
it's good.
bullshit.
But yeah, exactly. Don't appropriate a school-age game.
I'll say that while Space Camper is the official beer of First Issue Club,
till we die,
Tiki Slam is the honorable mention.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is a favorite amongst the club.
Especially for the summer. It's just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I love, and I call it the SCU, the Space Camper universe.
Yes.
I love that it's like connected through different beers, and each one has like a different character in this family of IPAs. It's really fun. So it like suits the comic book theme and comic books really well. So we're excited.
Patent the SCU so I can buy it from you. That's what you want to do. That's really good. Yeah.
We'll delete this part from the episode. It's fine.
I dig it. But yeah, so that's it. So that's what I brought for the gang today for us to drink.
Delicious.
Okay, transitioning into comics.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta get your comic book origin story, dude.
My comic
What
book
was the first time you heard of comic books?
So, okay, it goes comic book origin story. Put me on the spot here. I think it probably, so I think it might be just a skosh older than you guys, but when I was like 8, right, is when Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with the cartoon was on.
Yeah.
And the Electric Company was also a Sesame Street knockoff that had a Spider-Man, which we're all well aware of. He taught me the difference between like flies and fleas. That was was it supper and super, dessert and desert? He's really good at like homonyms. So I was, and then I went and was at the mall one day and got my picture taken with it. Randomly, there was a Spider-Man. Don't know if he was supposed to be there or not, but he was charging people
Unofficial
for, like,
cosplay.
Yeah.
Sweet. You'll love to see it.
like Polaroid pictures. So I wasn't collecting or anything then, but I was really like into it. And so my grandpa was like, he was a bit of a boozer. He's like, look, I know a bad habit when I can tell one. So he was like, I'm going to support your habit under the table. So started reading some Spider-Man shortly thereafter. And it was really confusing to me too, because the Spider-Man that I had seen in cartoons and on the Electric Company, right, canon there, didn't look like the Spider-Man in the comic, the first comic I got, because he was wearing the symbiote. It was, and so that was real confusing for like 10-year-old Adam. Be like, what is happening here?
I feel like I've missed something.
Yeah, like something along the way. And then I discovered like this whole like lore, like especially, and it was, mostly all Marvel then. And then to realize that you could go into these really, I gotta say, man, the evolution of the comic book store or comic shop or bookstore, it has been just a treat, right?
Yeah.
Because I like the first visit to, I was almost put off, right? There's this just really grumpy, crusty dude who was just like, oh, pfft, like,
I'm so surprised to hear that.
Yeah. Real shocked.
Yeah. And then, and so now you go to like a shop like Elite, where Will is just like just a delight, and like it doesn't, he's like, let me show you, like, it's just been great to see this evolution over the years. So that's kind of how I got started, and then I was I was addicted then, but I was like, I was also like the classic, like, make the bad decision when you're there. Like, I never really wish I had this podcast then, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Thank you.
Yeah. Marvel's, when they were like, hey, we're going to do this. Oh, I remember the new universe, right?
Yes.
Where like, I was like, this is it.
Did you have a flashback?
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You went far away.
This is going to be it. This is the thing. This is going to be. So you can kick me out now. Like, this opinion doesn't matter. But then, I got burned really hard.
Yeah, see your local dollar bin to see what we're talking about.
Right, yeah. But, at the time, I was looking for something that was new. Like what you guys are doing now is introducing people to these, like, here's the first issue of this. Let me give you an idea of what to expect. Then I was like, there was no first issues. You were like,
That's very true.
Legacy
I guess,
numbering.
Shortly
yeah.
thereafter, they, was when the X-Men run started.
With Jim Lee?
Yeah, that would have been 92, I think.
Yeah, it's Jim.
91, 92. But prior to that, there wasn't a lot of like jumping in points. Everything is, you have like 30 years of backstory that you're trying to. So then when the new universe came, it was like, here's issue 1 of a new character and new villains. And like, I'm like sucked in. I'm like, and then it just
It shit the bed.
and it always surprises me when I see elements of those in today's storylines, like they pop in. And it's like they're trying real hard, like, wow, we invested so much in this.
Do people still not like this? Oh yeah, no, they don't like it. No, get away from it. No,
It's not good. It's not good. Yeah. And then just, ever since then, I think when I joined the Marine Corps in '93, and I think that was probably the first time that I was around other people who also were like, like had the same interests than I did, but then also turning me on to stuff that they, like grew up with in other parts of the States or other parts of the world. And so it's really like, that was when the indie shit started falling in my laps.
Oh, I'm sure.
And started reading some stuff that was outside of the norm. That was when someone was like, well, you never read The Watchmen, or you never read, like any of Alan Moore's stuff. So I got turned on to that. And so that was a really cool scene to be, spend all day like around a bunch of Marines, like, fuck, kill. And then at night, everybody's like on their beanbag chairs, like, reading graphic novels,
Has anyone seen my Batman issue?
Silk Spectre's so beautiful.
So that was pretty wild. So that's that part. That's a big part of my comic evolution. Yeah.
I love it that most people's like big head transition is when, like, they always reference The Watchmen. They're just like,
oh, sure.
They're just like, like I was reading Spider-Man or Batman or whatever, and then like, then someone put Watchmen in front of me, and then like my mind exploded, and like, it's such an incredible book that Alan Moore wrote that is like, through the generations has lasted of just like, that's a pivotal book that new readers read, and you're just like, either you read it and you're like, fuck comic books forever, or you're like, this is perfect. This is a masterpiece.
Especially for our generation too, because comic books for while you're growing up are just like what's available to you in a grocery store.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're picking up just like
What can you convince your parents to get you?
Yes, the most mainline superhero stuff that looks as friendly as possible.
Or Archie.
And then you're
You're me.
Some nerd just tucking Archie into their jacket.
Please
Hope no one
notice.
from school sees me.
Oh, that jughead.
But that transition when you're just starting to like age out of so many things where you're just like, I'm still coming home and watching my Power Rangers, but I don't want anyone at school to know.
Sure.
It's like same sort of thing with comic books, right?
yeah.
And those sort of like gateway comics into the bigger world. So crucial.
That's when you know you're a big kid. When you find Watchmen, you're just like, oh no, I think I'm wrecked. I think I'm broken now. I can't read other baby books.
There's something about Watchmen too that just has such a far reach. Because I think I wasn't even reading those books at that point, but like I still was aware of what it was, and it still seemed cool to me.
Yeah.
And to have it be that far reaching is just kind of cool.
Dude, I can tell you one of my, we could talk about this all the time. Like in 2008, someone was like, hey man, you want to buy some Bitcoin? I'm like, nah, I don't think so, right? I don't know what that is. I remember buying, there was a crossover event called Executioner Song.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Remember. Well, when those were on the shelves was also like the first like run of Sandman. Those were coming out at the same time. And I remember like every time looking at it and being like, yeah, I'm just going to pick up these 8 books that all tie together to the story that probably end up not going to liking. And I always, to this day, I always regret not having just picked up the first issue.
I know.
Because now, I mean, that's my mecca right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sandman that is my jam, dude.
Awesome.
That's my, yeah.
So you're probably pretty excited about the recent casting of all the. Is it? I can't
Or not excited.
Well,
One of the two.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I do. I'm trying to follow it as much as I can with, like hesitancy, I guess, like, 'cause I don't know, they've been
Cautious
talking about.
optimism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they've been talking about that for a while. But yeah, I tell you what, I guess there's an audio drama BBC did. The same.
Yeah.
I've not listened to that yet. Have you guys heard it?
I heard it's good.
Stellar.
Budget King listened to it. He loved it.
Yeah.
Well, if it gets his stamp of approval, then
It's gotta be good.
it's either awesome or fucking batshit.
It's for freaks. Freak approved. Before we get into our comics, a little bit of news today.
Bewildering news, if I may be completely honest.
I was caught off guard.
Please don't lie to us. Please be completely honest.
On this
about
podcast, we talk about a certain publisher. That publisher's name is Bad Idea. We've had our ups and downs with this publisher. We've had our thoughts and opinions about this publisher. They have a unique style of releasing books. They've been doing some interesting promotions on their websites, all alluding to that they're done, that the Bad Idea brand is over.
Yeah.
And
Let's give some context, too, of what books came out on Bad Idea this far.
we got
ENIAC.
We
from
got
Matt Kent.
Tankers from Robert Vendetti.
Yep.
We have
Others.
Whalesville.
Whalesville was another Matt Kent book. Rocks and Minerals was like the subtitle or something.
It's all these great indie writers and creators
Yes.
on these really abstract and unique books that no one can get their fucking hands on.
But the thing is they sell out of their print runs immediately because we're creating that like vacuum of like these are hard to get, so everybody wants them. They sell out immediately. How are they going out of business?
I don't
So
know.
are they really going out of business?
I think it's a pronk.
Really?
I think they're pronking us. I think they're going to rebrand.
If they are, I was gonna say, like, if they are pronking us, like, that's so stupid. It's the most confusing pronk ever.
Yeah. The worst kind of pronk is a pronk that no one knows is a pronk.
Is a pronk that could actually confuse people into thinking it's real.
I'm thinking the word on the street is they're going to start releasing stuff digitally and more widespread to more comic book shops.
Yeah.
Because their original idea was we only select a few comic book shops around the country that get Bad Idea books. That way, scammers and scalpers can't get in there before you and sell our product online for higher prices.
And that's exactly what happened.
And that is exactly what fucking happened.
Speculation fueled, and everybody. You're selling them to customers. Comic book shops are selling them to customers for cover price. They're kind of forced to.
Yes.
Because they've curated this list of people. And part of the deal was that if they found out a shop was selling stuff online, then they would stop shipping and distributing comics to the shop, which, hey, I love that idea.
Sure.
I hate when I go into my shop to pick up a book I've been reading and they're like, oh, we didn't get any copies
Bullshit.
of like Amazing Spider-Man. And it's like, oh, the book you normally have 100 copies of,
Oh,
you
did it
don't
just
have.
fucking fall off the back of the truck?
If I check your eBay account, I'm not going to see like 100 available issues listed for $15 a piece. So, and in the same respect, I also get that like running a comic book shop ain't the easiest thing, and you got to like make your profit somewhere, and that's a great, easy way to do it. So, if you want to stay open and be profitable and survive in a medium that's like kind of weaves and wavers.
Yeah. You got to be creative.
Yeah, be creative and do it how you want to do it. But their business model in particular rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and it didn't quite work out the way they thought it would. It seems like their kind of brand presence is a negative one. So they're not really losing anything by rebranding. They just have like everything to gain. So that's a smart idea.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that they might just like say they're disappearing and then come back as something else.
I tweeted at them that they should change their name to Good Idea.
Did you really?
Yeah. Still no word back from them about if they liked it or not.
Yeah.
So a lot of confusion over Twitter about that
What
recent
exactly is
announcement.
happening?
So people on one side are just like, oh my God, they're leaving. Like, that sucks. And then the other half's just like, this is a fucking joke. You morons. Like, because like they did like a funny video of like Bad Idea is going away. And it was like very satirical, like how this video was presented. And so when you watch that, you're like, then there's no fucking way you're leaving.
The mailer that went out was like so succinct and abrupt and just minimal information at all that I was like, this cannot be the way that you would announce this. It was like 3 sentences that went out. And it was just like, Bad Ideas done, over. And I was like, that I don't think that's how you would do that.
Yeah. I think official first club issue stance is a joke.
or an opportunity to rebrand, and the name is done.
Let's just get out ahead of this one. It's a joke.
It's a prank. We've been pranked.
You heard it here, folks. If it's not a prank, come back and tell us we're wrong.
And ask us why we're saying prank.
We're committed to soft A's. All right, we're going to talk about some more stuff later on our Patreon, if you remember.
Yeah.
We'll be breaking down some of the Eisner.
Which is the Oscars for comic books.
That's exactly right. An exciting time of the year for us all.
For all 12 of us.
But let's get into what the club was formed for. Talking first issues. Our first one up today is W.E.B of Spider-Man out on Marvel from Shinick and Albuquerque. You might know the author Shinick from Flash, old Spider-Man team-ups. He was doing some like one-shots around the time Superior was coming out. So he's familiar with the character.
I would say so if he's already written for them. I have a question.
Yes.
Before we even get in conversation, why'd you make me read this book?
Oh, come on. Okay, here's the reason. In all honesty, one, the podcast title's gotta have a big name character, baby. We need those conversions in place to keep numbers up. So there's that selfish reason. Two, before I'd even read this, it was sold out so many places.
Wild.
It's a buzzworthy comic for better or worse. The reason I think it's sold out of a lot of places, and I think this is wherein the interesting conversation about this comic lies, is that it's a sensical entry point for people who are only familiar with Spider-Man via the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Excellent point.
Yes. Peter's a teenager in this. He's palling up with other teenage superheroes. We're getting introduced through Peter the whole world and universe that all of these like New York, Bronx related characters live in. We've got potential to have these characters introduced through Disney Plus TV shows, movies, for our mega fans and maybe teenage readers to start getting people a little stoked about these characters. I think this was pushed as a big release because of that. Now, when we read the comic, it was much more teenage, kid-oriented than I think a lot of people expected.
Sure. Myself included.
Yes.
An interesting thing this book did, well, two things. One, it introduced in comic books for the first time the young boy in Iron Man 3.
Oh, that can't be true.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Is this a first appearance?
In the comic book form of that kid.
Huh.
Okay.
I forget what his name is in the comic book, or
So maybe
It's
that's
like
why it's-
Harley Keen,
Oh,
yes, yeah. So
Harley Quinn, or something like that.
Harley Jarvis,
Keener, Harley Jarvis.
Harley Keener, is that it? Yeah.
Harley Keener, yeah.
Harley Jarvis.
That show. Okay, so that's a reference to I Think You Should Leave, which is a Netflix show.
Oh my god. The trailer.
They just announced the second season.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Finally.
I'm hyped.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Sorry, I think I just threw Caitlin off with the Harley Jarvis reference.
That was a bit we loved. It was like a mean baby.
Fuck you, Harley. Anyway,
Yeah.
so this is his first comic book introduction.
I don't think that's true, but fine. I thought this kid was Iron Lad who was introduced in don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you.
In like Iron Man like 8 years ago or something.
No, I'm guaranteed this is the kid from Iron Man 3.
I'm back in your play.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second fun.
You continue monologuing.
I know. I see what you're doing. That's why
Meanwhile,
I'm gonna vamp a little bit.
I'm Googling this.
The second thing this did, which I don't know if I love or like, at Disneyland, there is a new Marvel experience that you can go to, where different rides are happening and different like experiences and different locations you can go to. This is one of them. The W.E.B headquarters that we're introduced to in this comic book. You can go to W.E.B, whatever this thing
And
is
this
called.
is already a thing.
Yes,
So
it
they
exists.
really like.
So this is like if we read
Is
a
this
comic
the sort
book.
of thing of like a comic coming after a toy line, or is it like?
I think it's just a fun introductory thing of just like, hey, look what we're doing at like Disneyland. Also, it's like a MCU storyline.
Yeah.
Let's pause.
Yeah, it's him.
If we were to read a comic book in this episode today called "It's a Small World After All," based on the ride from Disneyland, that's what we're doing right now. Is reading a comic book about a pre-existing ride.
Right.
at
That's what I was
Disneyland.
saying. Like, is it a comic that comes after the toy line?
But I don't know if the ride or experience like sells anything. I think it's just like a fun thing you can do. Like they had Haunted Mansion comic books.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a concession?
Iron Man 3, April 24th, 2013.
The movie.
That's his first appearance.
Oh my God. The movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I just read that like
Iron Man 3.
I'm right. I was like Iron Man Volume 4, Number 3 is like what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was having such a told you so moment. Fuck.
In any of the case, Harley Keener makes his first appearance in Web of Spider-Man. He's kind of like toting himself as Iron Man's right-hand man.
Protege,
Yeah.
right,
And,
man, yeah.
and Peter Parker's a little miffed by that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which
Which is appropriate.
and it also kind of adorable.
Yeah.
Like Peter Parker's like, hey, wait a minute. He's kind of my best friend. Like he never talks about you. Like, who are you? I love it. It's like when your wife meets your work wife. You're like, wait a minute. These two worlds aren't supposed to collide. I don't have a work wife, by the way.
I know. I was like, oh boy, buddy. Watch what you say.
The fist shaking.
I think adorable is a good word to use for this comic.
Thank you.
That's kind of what I felt when I was reading it. Even like when there was no stakes, of course, but even towards the end, I was like, this is kind of adorable.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the target audience, but this is kind of adorable. Yeah.
Well, and to your point, Mike, I think that it is a smart move, especially with this expansion into Disney Plus, to create something that a younger generation can own
Yeah.
and can feel that like connection to, versus just the MCU. Because I think that's there, but I think it's like something that's theirs, which is smart.
You're totally right. I think it's one thing to just obviously the movies are such huge money-making machines that Disney couldn't give a fuck about like whether the comic books are selling, right?
Right.
But it is just a nice thing like in my heart and spiritually to think about these like young kids who could be like, oh, this little organization that they have together that maybe ends up in the movies. I can get a first appearance of that, or that's a storyline I'm interested in, and I go back and buy the trades, and it's something that actually came out as weeklies at one point. Like, that's kind of cooler than getting, adjunct digital content.
Yep.
Here's a thought exercise. You said that Disney couldn't give a shit if this comic book even exists or how the sales of it goes.
Right.
Do you think they care if they want to product test a new character that they are thinking about using in a movie or a TV show?
Yeah, that's interesting because there's 2 in here that haven't really been touched upon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So we have a new character, I think, from Wakanda, who is like
Yeah.
a young teenager, and then we have Moon Girl,
Yeah.
who has had her pre-existing book a few years ago. People loved it. It was kind of a teenish book. And Squirrel Girl,
Yep.
Yeah.
which they were supposed to do a new Warriors TV show a while back. It's supposed to be on Hulu.
Didn't happen.
It's still in limbo. I don't think it'll ever happen, but Squirrel Girl was supposed to be a part of that. So I think that Disney and some higher-ups at Marvel see comic books like this and are just like, let's test these characters and see what the younger hip kids are saying on TikTok about this new comic book.
I think they kind of did that with the foray into like TV with the Runaways and like
Oh, for sure.
Cloak and Dagger too. Like they're just kind of going at each generation. Like,
Yep.
hey, we got any takers? Hey, we got any takers? Jump on board.
Have any of those Hulu Marvel shows really stuck?
was Hulu, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That one will stick around.
It is,
Yeah.
I think maybe they hit it more tonally with that one of like what people are looking for on Hulu anyway.
Yeah.
I really dug both of the shows that I just mentioned.
The Runaways
Runaways
was
is
really
great.
good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
And
And
unfortunately,
I liked Cloak and Dagger too.
it was
I thought
really cool.
Really interesting.
It was like their version of a CW
Yeah.
show.
Oh, for sure. But like, of course, I like that.
What about Hellstrom? Did anyone watch that?
No,
I don't think that's coming back.
It was very, very detached from the comics.
Okay.
And I think they wanted that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, can you imagine people trying to like even get in those outfits? Like, it would have been too hot for TV. It's like for fictional characters only.
That should be every tagline.
But that was a
Comic
tonally
books.
different show. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's probably right that, you know, you can dip your toe into something in a lower budget in that respect.
Yeah.
Spider-Gwen was something that was like an amazing taste test in comics. And then it became apparent like a month after that book came out, who was supposed to be a throwaway character.
Sure.
That it's like, nope, here to stay.
Yeah.
Own comic line. It sells like gangbusters.
That was a Reese's
New-
Peanut Butter Cup moment.
New animated movie we're putting out, and that character is going to be in it now. On Halloween or at conventions, you see little kids wearing Spider-Gwen
Yeah.
Yeah.
cosplay now, like crazy. So that worked in some respect. I don't know. Fun to have some cohesivity with the MCU in the comic books, as long as it doesn't infringe on my monthly reading and we keep our mainline comics out of this. I don't want some decision that a Hollywood room made impacting
Amazing.
well, I guess kind of like hindering where writers are able to go,
Right.
right? They're the ones who kind of drive the angle and direction of the comics. I would hate for Disney to start getting into Marvel offices
Yeah.
and say, well, you can't do this or that with Spider-Man because Spider-Man's doing this or that.
Yeah.
Right.
Or we'd like Captain America to do this next week or something. And like now a writer is forced to like kind of
Can't let him go to
Right, that
strip clubs
situation.
now because he's all holier than thou.
Which, what a great run when Captain America did go to the strip club and fought all those people. I thought that was really great.
Fought all the strippers.
all the strippers.
No. It was the people that weren't tipping enough that he was fighting. Because that's not the American way. 20%, folks.
All right, let's move it to 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. This book was out on Image Comics. Kyle Starks, club favorite writer. Sex Castle, Rock Candy Mountain, Assassination. Some great books. We had Chris Schweizer also on the book as well. I have so many things to say about this comic.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Give me one.
One, is Trigger Keaton supposed to be Chuck Norris?
I think
I don't
he's.
know.
There's a lot of rumors that Chuck Norris was a very hated person.
Oh, okay, then maybe yes.
Okay.
Spilled the tea, my
Because
friend.
they've like very specifically reference a kick too in the book.
Yeah, they talk about roundhouse kicks
Yeah,
in
it's
this.
making more sense.
The log line of this is basically like a white kung fu star on television is hated by Hollywood because he's an asshole, and he's got this rotating cast of sidekicks
Yeah.
all meet at his funeral and
It's sort of like a Clue situation.
yeah, and try to solve his murder. Like, everyone hated him so much. It's like, did one of the sidekicks murder him? Like, are we accusing each other?
Everyone's got motive.
Yeah, do we need to find out to clear our own names? Because in the long run, people are going to suspect us. There's a lot of like cheeky back and forth like that.
It's got a unique angle though, because by all accounts he died by suicide.
Right.
But they're like the only ones trying to figure it out for real.
He's got the most recent sidekick he has,
Who hasn't had a chance to hate him yet.
who is like the most into trying to just solve his murder, spent 2 days at like a detective camp training to be a detective in this TV show.
So now he's like Monk.
Yeah, so now he's like hot on the case. It's so funny.
There was a lot of buzz around this book prior to its release.
And the few pages they took as the preview that they've been putting in the back of comics in Image for the last couple of weeks was such a great selection of pages.
Yeah.
It was that kind of like funeral scene where they're all meeting and you're kind of putting it together.
Sure. Yeah.
And I almost wish they would have started the comic like that, because there's a little bit
With the funeral?
yeah, because there's a little bit of unknown and you're piecing it together as it's happening. It was kind of like a better reveal of like what exactly the situation was. But this book kind of gets into it right away and we figure out who's doing what.
Yeah.
It lays out the situation like very plainly at the top of the book.
Yeah, the first few pages really make you hate that guy. You're like, this guy is a turd. Like right out the gates.
Pushing a kid down.
Yes.
That's a fellow actor, and like threatening people to not help the kid back up.
Yep.
Like, how more terrible can you be?
Just being sexist.
Oh, yeah.
Grabbing interns, beating up kids, punching the stuntmen.
Yeah.
And I normally hate lack of subtlety in a bad guy, but in this case, I give it a pass because he's already dead.
That's a good
Right?
point. Yeah.
If he wasn't, you'd be like, oh, they're going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're going so far out of their way to make me not like him. I love that he's dead, and the incentive people have to solve his murder
Is not
not necessarily that you love him.
It's a selfish
And-
reason.
It's
Yeah.
not, yeah.
And to its credit, I don't think it's going in a place where it's like, oh, but he was more complex than that. Because, like, in the back,
Sure.
when they're talking about, like, in case you're starting to feel like maybe he's a good guy, he's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's
He
just
doesn't have
plain
like a
and
secret
simple.
daughter somewhere. This book had one of those things, and I don't know if there's a name for it. Maybe you guys can help me out. It happens a lot, and you see it a lot in exposition in either TV shows, movies, or books, or whatever, where they're introducing like characters or places or things. The little snapshot of the shows, the fictional shows.
Oh, right, yeah.
I fucking love. Like here's the name and
Yep.
just a like a
It's like a TV guide
3-word
thing?
tease. Yeah,
Yes.
the TV
Yeah.
guide thing. Like, what was it? Space Boat 3030. I want to watch that show. It doesn't tell you what it is. It gives you nothing.
Yeah.
The one with the NFL player was Frankenstein and Frankenstein.
Yeah, Frankenstein and
With
Frankenstein.
Trigger Keaton and this NFL star. I need to know.
Yeah.
What is Frankenstein and Frankenstein?
Yeah. And you're like, what role could this action star possibly have played in all of these?
Exactly. Yeah. It's so good. I love seeing fictional titles of like books or movies and then just kind of like pondering like, what is that movie about? What is that show?
This book sets the scene so well that if it were to get optioned to become a TV show,
Oh,
you
yeah.
could totally see it doing like the
Little flashes.
Like flashes to the show.
Yeah.
like the Orange is the New Black thing where like you focus on like one
Yes.
character
Yeah.
and their backstory,
Hell yeah.
right? But
Yep.
with these shows, it would be so much
Are
fun.
we
It's
writing
also,
this show?
It's also like the Kill Bill thing where you get the backstory and then you have the
Yes.
name.
Yeah.
It's very
Yep.
theatrical.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that in like on the other side for each character's introduction, it was the show that they were on and then the fallout,
Oh,
like
yeah.
in the news
Yep.
that was like, or tabloids of like what Trigger did to make them hate him or ruin this person's life.
Yeah.
This is the thing whenever I see like a map or like a lot of
Yes.
different alien
Yes.
creatures,
Yeah.
it's just like the thought that went into the world building is definitely there, and
Yeah.
just to see that payoff really makes me want to invest in this book more, because you know that Kyle has a lot to say with this character and a lot to show us, and it's phenomenal.
It's got to be so fun to write somebody this awful too.
Oh, sure.
Like there's probably so much more frustration that goes into like what's the redemption arc? Like how do we? And if that's not there, he can literally do what the fuck ever he wants.
Yeah.
And it's got to be fun.
Did you guys read the fake profile in the back?
Yeah.
Is
Unreal.
Yep.
once you finish the book, keep going if you pick this up.
And then the glossy, the next. I mean, here's like
Yeah.
the fan club. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the fan club stuff.
Yeah.
Was that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
that, you didn't need to put that in there,
Nope.
and like people wouldn't notice if you did or didn't. But the fact that you went through the time and effort to kind of write a fake fan page,
Just
like
even-
mail-in thing. Oh
Just
my
even
god!
the name martial art was like, this is
It's so
is so fun.
Yeah, I would love to see like the pitch room of these guys just kind of like coming together and writing
Yeah.
this book.
His name's Arthur. He knows martial arts. He's martial,
Martial art.
It's like what
And
I
he's like
imagine.
the town marshal.
Yeah.
That's a martial. Yeah. Yeah.
It's what I imagine the writer's room and like Bob's Burgers that do all the pun names for the shop fronts
Right.
go
Yep.
through. Like,
I imagine alcohol was involved.
why not? Why
Amongst
not?
other things, probably. Yes.
Oh, from the writer of Sex Castle? No way.
One
Sex
word.
Castle, one word.
Okay,
or
enough
castles.
correcting Mike today.
We didn't even say it was you.
I already took an L on Iron Man 3. I don't need this in my life,
The
too.
name of this episode is Mike Takes an L.
What else is new?
We should mention this is a mini, so you have a end in sight.
Yep.
So this isn't going to be an ongoing, which I think is right for this kind of book.
Yeah.
There's a definite story that's going to
It's
be
a whodunit.
told. Yeah, exactly. Like you said earlier, it's like Clue, but way funnier
Yeah.
and less pieces to lose.
Clue is really good.
I forgot about the movie when I said my thing.
Greg takes an L.
Yeah. So many L's going out today. Damn.
A lot of fun adjunct characters, too. We find, like, there's a coalition or union of stuntmen.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, like, becomes a war between the stuntmen.
Stuntman War.
And these sidekicks who are, like, trying to help solve this case. And, like, I hope we revisit that for sure. The fight scenes between stuntmen is pretty fun. There's a lot to do there.
I hope that none of their punches land because they're stuntmen, so they're always just
Pulling
taught to throw punches. And
I'm dying to know why your one man won't take a fall. They
Yeah,
they
yeah.
call that out a couple times too. Like there's
Oh,
so many
yeah.
things. It's like I want to know more.
Yeah. And I think he is in particular a lot of fun because he is also like very fond of this
Such a
awful guy.
fanboy.
He's like
Yeah.
crying. It's
Yeah.
just like tears because he loves him.
And I think, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but this had a variant cover for Pride Month, which we are currently in. And he was on the cover, the one who was fanboying over Trigger Keaton as a gay character.
Oh, okay.
So he may actually be in love
with
Trigger Keaton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we may find out as the story goes on that it wasn't him fawning over him as like an idol. It's just like he had
Yeah.
a romantic connection with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they spoiled it with that variant, but
Code Cracker Greg over here.
hey, listen, it's a calling. It's a vocation.
It must suck to just spoil things for yourself constantly.
Blessing and a curse.
To be this intelligent and insightful, it's a curse. You're right, it's a curse. But enough about me.
First episode of Mayor of Easttown, you're just like, I know who did it.
I don't know
Ruin
what
the
that
rest
is.
of my show.
We haven't seen it yet, but I want
Okay.
to.
Oh, she
You may
controls
tell-
it. She controls the TV. She goes, tonight we're watching this, and it's like, okay, Ally McBeal.
Are you kidding? Because do you want to actually cop to who decided to watch that show?
I did.
Thank you.
Where are we watching it?
You're like,
and
I-
it's bad.
I gotta get to this dancing baby.
I actually have never seen it, and I kid you not, that's the one thing I said. I was like, I am aware that this was a thing. I
How
was
are they gonna introduce
around, but I have no idea how it actually fits into the story.
To see the dancing baby litigate, though, whew, nothing short of
it?
phenomenal.
I like that show. It doesn't hold up.
The early episodes are their reasonings for certain scenarios. You're just like, ooh, that ain't woke.
We'll
Yeah,
just-
no, it's
yeah.
dated.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sure.
okay.
Like in
Yeah.
the second episode, the one of the main guys goes on a tirade about how cheating is less bad when it's a man who does it.
And
Because
so,
men
yeah.
men are only about sex and women are only about love. So
We don't need that take on TV anymore.
yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
yeah.
The second
So I was like, ooh, Dancing Baby's coming up soon or not?
Well, the dancing baby has some pretty risky takes on foreign affairs, so don't look
I see.
too excited
I see.
to see it. Enough about this dancing baby.
Huh?
Well, Adam, thank you for joining us today, and thank you more for providing us with some alcohol to drink while we recorded the show. It's been a treat.
For me too. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Of course. Again, check us out on the Patreon. We'll be there this week talking about the Eisners. We love you. We're in love with you. Thanks for being in our club.
And go buy some Boulevard beer.
Please.
Responsibly.
Buy responsibly.
Buy
responsibly.
No, buy irresponsibly.
Yeah, and then just drink it.
And then drink responsibly.
Right, yeah.
And if you're two kids who are like 7 or 8, stand on each other's shoulders, put on a giant trench coat, and go get some delicious daddy water.
Go get some Archie and some Boulevard.
Bye.
Your finest craft beer, please.
Do you have Space Campo? I held it on my comic book show.
I'm an adult.
First Issue Club is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company via Space Camper Cosmic IPA. Our music is courtesy of the fine folks at Primary Color Music. You can find, friend, and follow us on social media at First Issue Club or firstissueclub.com. You can support First Issue Club by joining us on our Patreon for additional content at patreon.com/firstissueclub.